This story takes place in a dark romance novel called The Flower of Hell, a cruel world ruled by powerful noble families. But among them, one family stands above the rest in cruelty, the Agriche family, a household where kindness is considered weakness, and even children are raised to become monsters. And at the center of this terrifying family is Roxana Agriche. But Roxana has a secret. She remembers everything, because she has been reincarnated into the world of this novel. And in the original story, Roxana was never meant to survive. She was only a minor villain, a character destined for a terrible end. But Roxana refuses to follow that fate. She decides to rewrite the story. In the original novel, several noble families rule the empire. Among them is the Honorable Pedelian family, and their heir, a young man named Cassus Pedelian. But in the original story, Cassus was captured by the Agriche family. He was tortured and eventually killed. A tragic ending that Roxana remembers clearly. One day, that exact event begins to unfold. Cassus Pedelian is brought into the Agriche mansion as a prisoner. His body is chained, his clothes are soaked in blood, and yet, his eyes still burn with defiance. Roxana secretly visits the prison where Cassus is being held. She knows exactly what will happen if the story continues as written. Cassus will die here, but Roxana has another plan. Instead of letting him die, she decides to keep him alive. She secretly gives Cassus medicine. But the medicine does not fully heal him. Instead, it temporarily paralyzes his body. To Cassus, it feels like poison, but Roxana calmly explains the truth. If she had given him the full antidote immediately, his injured muscles would have torn apart. This temporary paralysis is the only thing keeping him alive. But Cassus doesn't trust her. In his eyes, Roxana is still an Agriche, one of the monsters responsible for his suffering. He demands to know what she is planning. Why would the daughter of the Agriche family help him? Roxana simply smiles. She expected this reaction. Roxana leans closer and whispers something unexpected. She doesn't want Cassus to die, because his survival is important, not just for him, but for her as well. Before leaving, Roxana gives him a small nutrient pill, something to keep him alive in the cruel prison of the Agriche mansion. Because here, survival itself is a game. Later, Cassus quietly speaks Roxana's name. He reflects on its meaning. Roxana, a name that means dawn, the first light that appears even in the darkest night. And strangely, that name suits her perfectly. Meanwhile, Roxana returns to her room. A servant enters the room and brings Roxana a glass of water. But this is no ordinary drink. In the Agriche family, poison is part of everyday life. From a young age, Roxana was forced to consume small amounts of poison. Little by little, her body developed resistance. It was the only way to survive in this family. Suddenly, the door bursts open. A young man walks in confidently. The man standing before her is her half-brother,